Hey, how's it going, you guys? Pet Platypus here, and it's time to talk about Dragon Ball Super Episode 9. Okay, so for Episode 9 of Dragon Ball Super, I don't really have much to say, but what I do have to say I feel is worth making a video about. And it's not the most positive things to say, but I'll get into the review first. To briefly summarize, two things happen. They talk to Shenron, he gives the story of the origin of the Super Saiyan God and how you make one. They attempt to make the Super Saiyan God, they fail, they attempt again, Goku's the Super Saiyan God, that's the end of the episode. That's literally everything that happens. So I guess to go a little bit more in depth, as far as Shenron's explanation of everything, I believe they said it was like a Namekian story, and they were basically talking about how 5 pure-hearted Saiyans have to pull their energy into one Saiyan, pull not just their ki, but their life energy, their hearts need to be poured into it, which was a really cheesy way of subtitling it, so I'm going to go with life energy, but whatever. They pull their energy into the Saiyan, and they transform into a Super Saiyan God. The one they're pulling it into, I should say. I kind of worded that weird. But you guys know what I'm talking about, because you've probably seen the Battle of Gods movie anyway. So, as far as that goes, it's an interesting method of doing it. It's very basic and simple, but it's not, like, necessarily bad. The way the Super Saiyan God looks is cool. The fact that Goku turned into a Super Saiyan God in this episode is rather big for the overall series. You know, it's a new transformation for 1, and for 2, it's like a new base. If you've seen Battle of Gods, you know that this is going to be a new base for getting even stronger and, you know, going even further. So, there's that. And, you know, just the fact that Shenron knew this, and there was like a Namekian story that the Namekians kind of knew, because I wasn't really sure what to think about that, because I could have sworn, maybe I'm wrong, but I could have sworn that Saiyans were, like, new. Like, the Namekians didn't know what Saiyans were in the Namek arc, back when Frieza invaded and everything. But then I thought about it, and I was like, well, Kami made Shenron, and Kami was from the generation prior to Dende's generation, before the Great Disaster, so maybe Namekians, you know, prior to Dende's generation knew the full story. But then, you know, it's whatever. It's not a big deal at all, even if there is like an inconsistency there. And maybe Namekians knew what Saiyans were the whole time. For some reason, there's like a thing in my head that says, did Namekians know who Saiyans were? I feel like they didn't for some reason. But, yeah, anyway. What else happened? Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. There's the Super Saiyan God transformation, and it's cool looking. It's got hype. You know, I'm talking about the positives first, because we're about to get into the negatives of this episode. It looked cool, the clouds, and affecting the weather, and the music was a little bit over the top, but it made sense. It was cool, and, you know, Super Saiyan God form looks cool, and yeah, I liked the way they were putting their energy into Goku. I think it looked cooler than in the movie, because I think in the movie they all just held hands, even Goku did. In this, they like hold hands and then put their hands on Goku's back. I just thought that pose looked cooler. Kind of a small thing, but, you know, it's something to talk about, because there's not much to talk about in this episode. So yeah, the transformation looked cool. I liked the history of the Super Saiyan God and everything. Now we get into the negatives. This transformation sequence was absolutely, ridiculously way too long. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who watched this episode and they were like, well, that's what you get with Dragon Ball, you know, it's got those big long power-ups, so nostalgic. No. Fuck you. No, I mean, I'm just kidding, but no. Those power-ups were bullshit back then, and they're bullshit now. You know, they should never take, a power-up should never take more than 2 minutes of the time. 5 at most, I'll give it. 5 minutes. And maybe not even that long, but when they're going for 8 to 10 minutes to longer to do power-ups, it's just like, no, it's so padded out, so extended, and they don't need to do that now. You know, back then, you could say, well, yeah, they could extend the material differently, but they're using the power-up extension because they're close to the manga or whatever. There's no manga to adapt at this point. The manga that they're releasing is like an adaptation of the anime, so why, what, like, did this have to be this long? Did you dragged this out purely to milk the series, and it's starting to get annoying. You know, I think in my last review, or the review before that, I said, I know they're milking Dragon Ball, but I'm just taking it for what it is and enjoying it. It's gonna start to get really annoying if they keep doing, like, 2 things per episode. You know, you got Goku fights, Vegeta fights Beerus, Oolong plays rock, paper, scissors, 2 things happened. I didn't mind the so-called filler episodes where we saw Goku and Vegeta with their families at peace and everything, because I liked seeing them at peace. We hardly ever see that. That was good. That was a good way to start it. But now that we're in the plot, we need more things happening per episode. They're just dragging out Battle of Gods, and it's just like, stop. Battle of Gods, it's fine to readapt it, but you're dragging it out so much, and it's going to start to get really annoying if they keep up this, 2 episode at a time bullshit. Or not 2 episode, this 2 things happening per episode. So, yeah, mini rant kind of over on the overall Dragon Ball Super. Back to ranting about this episode. It was slow-paced. It was... The animation was okay at best. There was nothing really super special to animate, so, it was just kind of okay. And, even some of the faces looked kind of weird in some shots, so... that could be redrawn when the Blu-rays come out, but it's worth mentioning. And then the overall story progression is very lacking. So, this is a very mediocre episode of Dragon Ball Super from a technical standpoint. Again, the explaining how the Super Saiyan God works and having Goku transform, those are both huge. Those are big. But everything else about the episode is very mediocre, so it just kind of reaches like this slightly above mediocre. I don't really know what number to give that, like a 6.8 type thing. Because if this was like a Super Saiyan 3 transformation, it would be a fucking garbage episode of Dragon Ball Super. But because it's a new form, because it's a big deal, and because it's going to put us into the final battle with Beerus, I'm giving it a little bit more credit. It's kind of just a mediocre episode of Dragon Ball Super. Had it been a transformation we've already seen, fuck that. But anyway, I'm fucking tired, so I'm sorry if I'm like speaking in a weird pattern or something. I'm really tired right now. Just trying to think if there's anything else to say. No, I did my little mini rant on Dragon Ball Super as an anime series, and I did my ranting about this episode. I don't want to say ranting, I'm just reviewing it, and it's a negative review for the most part, but yeah, it has its positives, it has its ups, but it's just kind of a, mediocre episode of Dragon Ball Super. And the next episode preview, my god, no, like, it looks like Goku, like, it looks like they're adding, like, I can't judge completely based on the preview, it's only like 30 seconds long, but it looks like Goku is going to not be able to control himself in that form, and he's going to have a hard time landing hits on Beerus. That's just more padding. I guess you could say it adds a little bit of depth to the transformation, that Goku's body is now physically changed and different, and now he has to kind of relearn how to fight or whatever. That is kind of cool. But to me, when I first saw it coming off of how padded out this episode was, the first thing I thought was, oh my god, they're going to pad out the Goku versus Beerus fight too. But we'll see how it's executed. It is a cool idea, because he does look physically different. He looks younger, he looks thinner. There could be, physical changes to his speed and everything that he's not ready for. And that could be very interesting. So we'll just have to see how they execute it. But the first thought I had was, oh my god, they're padding it out again. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Didn't have much to say about this episode, so I ended up talking about the anime in general. Probably a longer review than I wanted it to be, but whatever. Anyways, hopefully the next episode's much better. Hopefully the Resurrection of Frieza arc is handled very well, because they've handled Battle of Gods, the arc, pretty good, pretty decently. Just too slow in my opinion. But anyway, I'll give this episode a 6.8 out of 10. It's a mediocre episode of Dragon Ball Super. Slightly above mediocre, I should say. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. Tell me what you guys think of this episode of Dragon Ball Super in the comment section below. Follow me on Instagram. I post things there sometimes. Give this video a thumbs up. That would help me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, or if you like what you see in here. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.